If you turned all the instruments off, the battery would stay at that particular level. No, because it was so cold, it was having to maintain, it was having to keep heaters on as well, you know, to make sure that the instruments kept working. So you just knew you'd got 70 hours full stop, all right? So you worked for 70 hours. You just did it. You just barreled through, get as much data as we can.
And amazingly, almost all of the instruments on Philae had survived the impact. It was go time.
We were very lucky. I mean, we ended up in an orientation that the antennae were pointing, well, upward, so to say, that we could establish the radio link with the main spacecraft. And again, we were also lucky because we could switch on the instruments. We could do fantastic science from the surface of the comet.
About 80% of the science goals of the Philae lander were achieved. So it was an absolute fantastic success. You know, the fact it crash landed, got around that. It was an amazing success.
This was, of course, a bit sad to see the voltage of the battery drop and knowing that Philae will go into a hibernation.
And eventually, that's what happened. But even in those few hours, Philae had unveiled a world full of surprises. Of dust and debris, gases erupted from deep within the comet. Even the crash landing threw up interesting discoveries.
Even by analyzing the bounce itself, we got information on what's the surface made of. And it was a bit surprising that the surface was rather hard.
But perhaps most exciting of all was what this comet was able to teach us about us.
The Rosetta mission had as one of its goals to understand the building blocks of life.
Because Comet 67P was rich in organic compounds like phosphorus, carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, and the amino acid glycine, all essential for the origins of life, and offering tantalizing clues as to how these compounds may have arrived on Earth in the first place.
So the original building blocks of life came from comets.
While Philae had gone into eternal hibernation, the mothership Rosetta continued to fly around the comet, collecting data for 2 more years. But then, Rosetta's time had to come. In a last-ditch effort to get as much out of the mission as possible, the team decided to crash land Rosetta into the comet, collecting data along the way and allowing the scientists to get one last look at their old friend Philae.
Took this sort of shallow dive onto the surface of the comet and then sort of crash landed, and its camera was going the whole time. So we saw these last pictures of the surface rushing up to greet Rosetta. And then the signal died, and you got this little sort of oscilloscope thing with nothing on it. Just like, you know, like somebody when they die and you see the signal die on the heart thing. And it was just like, it was so devastating. People were in tears, I cried. And it's just, hell's teeth, it's a robot, you know. But it's been part of your life for so long and so important. So that was it, that was the end of the Rosetta mission.
There is still many publications done using the data from Rosetta. That's still the most relevant and best scientific information we have from a comet.
Rosetta completely transformed our view of comets.
To some extent, what we know about the evolution of the solar system and what we believe about the formation of life, all of this is triggered by Rosetta, and this is not often in lifetime you get a chance to get involved in such a project.